It is another beautiful winter's grey morning here in the UK, and I feel like the weather is very appropriate today because I can't be bothered. I have very low energy and I can't be bothered to do anything, and yet I'm doing it anyway. And I have been thinking all of this morning and all of last night about what I'm going to make this video on, and in the end I decided that what would be an appropriate topic is carrying on with things despite not necessarily wanting to. And this week specifically, or last week I should say, I made a commitment to making a daily video, and I didn't really realise how much of a challenge that would actually be. Not just because I have a lot of stuff going on in my normal day-to-day life with work and a renovation and other obligations to keep up with, trying to get to the gym and just having enough time to do all of it, but also just like a strain mentally on finding topics to put out there and the self-doubt that comes with it. Like, I sometimes come back in the evenings to edit these videos and I just have this like overwhelming sense that these videos are crap and no one wants to hear them. And I'm not saying this to get comments. I don't necessarily want people telling me that the videos are helping in any way, although it is nice to hear. It's more just to highlight the fact that when we make a decision to do something, I think it's very common for us to begin to doubt ourselves and to want to step back into what is normal. And I think our bodies and our brains are very much like thermostats in that sense, that we have a set baseline of what we consider to be normal. And I think this applies to every area of our life. So whether that's like a certain amount of money that we've got in the bank, or a certain weight, a certain body weight, or a certain amount of muscle, or a certain amount of friends, or a certain position at our companies. Like, I think we have these baseline levels, and I think the minute we exceed what we believe we should have or what we should be doing, our brains or our bodies tries to bring us back into this sense of equilibrium and to put us back to this base level. And of course, this works in a bad way to sometimes bring us down, but it can also work in a good way as well. Like, for instance, if you have a certain amount of money that you think is acceptable to have in your bank account and you drop below that, people typically find a way to find that money again, and yet when they go over it, they find it very easy to spend it. I just find it's very interesting to observe this like thermostat mechanism in our brains. But I'm in danger of going off on a bit of a tangent here. The point being is, I made a commitment to do something which is not ordinary for me. Like, I've run this channel for a couple of years now, and before last week, all of the content I only made when I had the time and when I felt like it. And actually, a vast majority of the growth on my channel has come from making videos in that way. And I guess what really demotivated me over the weekend is I had kind of assumed that posting more content would equal more engagement with this channel. And to be honest, as much as I wanted this to be a challenge for myself, of course I also wanted to see this channel grow. I wanted to see these messages reach more people. And what really surprised me is that I found the opposite. And it seems like the more content I put out, the less views it gets. And there are some of you, a handful of you, that watch these videos regularly. You pretty much watch every video I put out, and I'm so grateful for that, because it's a big commitment. You know, some of these videos I put out are half an hour, and the fact that someone is willing to listen to what I have to say for half an hour is really humbling. So I really appreciate that. But what I didn't expect was that my channel was actually going to plummet. Like, I think even if it had stayed normal, it wouldn't have affected me so much. But just to see that, like, there was a complete opposite correlation to what I expected, like more input and less output. And it's the point being, it's demotivated me. I think I'm going to go into this topic in a bit more detail once I've stuck with making these videos for, I think, 2 weeks. I think I'm going to do it for another week. And again, I see that as a bit of a challenge, especially this week, because I have a lot of work at my renovation property to do. And that's going to mean early starts and late finishes. And I still have to record a video during the day and edit that video when I get home and post it before it goes, before I run out of content, essentially. So I'm going to stick to that. I am going to, I'm going to see that as a challenge to myself, but it's demotivating in a way. And I woke up this morning feeling like I really didn't want to make another video. I really couldn't be bothered. But I have to remember that what is important is not necessarily the metrics on this channel, but it was the challenge that I gave to myself. It's the promise that I made to myself that I would make a daily video. And I probably should have been more public about that on the channel, but I did promise to make a daily video for the next 2 weeks just to see what happened to this channel. And regardless of what happens to this channel, I am going to put out a daily video, because I told myself that's what I was going to do. And that is why making this video is important, because it is so easy when we get the slightest bit of negative feedback to give up on the promises we make to ourselves. And I think a lot of the time we give up long before we see results, or before that thermostat that's in our brains and our bodies resets itself. Because I think that is possible. You know, what you believe is possible for yourself can change, because what you believe is possible for yourself is based on your previous experiences. And so you have to do things that are extraordinary in the sense of extraordinary. So if it is ordinary for you not to exercise, then it is extraordinary for you to go to the gym once a week. You know, it's, in the grand scheme of things, it's not extraordinary, but in the context of your life, it is extraordinary. And then I think in that example, when you start going to the gym, and if you do it regularly, your thermostat resets itself, and suddenly you start to believe that you're the sort of person that goes to the gym 2-3 days a week, and you start to feel weird if you don't, because your thermostat's reset and you've dropped below what your body considers normal. Again, I feel like I've digressed slightly, but I began this video talking about the importance of doing things even though we don't feel like doing them sometimes. And I think it's important that we tell ourselves we're going to do something, and we make a commitment to doing it, and we expect that some of the time, if not most of the time, we are not going to feel like doing that thing, because it is out of the ordinary. Our bodies and our brains don't want us to do it because it is extraordinary, and we are making changes, and changes are difficult and stressful to our minds, bodies and souls. And so that's why I am making this video today, despite the fact that I really don't want to, and despite the fact that I feel like I haven't actually got a huge amount to talk about. It is important nonetheless to make it, to document it, and to hope that at least someone out there is going to find it useful in some way. The promises that we make to ourselves dictate the direction of our lives, and particularly what we do about those promises. So if we make promises and we keep them, we grow in confidence. And if we make promises and we break them, we lose confidence. And that makes total sense. You know, if you tell yourself that you're going to do something and you don't do it, then the next time you tell yourself you're going to do something, you'll remember the time that you said you were going to and you didn't. And that's normal. You would feel like if you had a friend or a family member that was always turning up late to events and you arranged to meet up with them for coffee, and you arranged to meet them at 10 o'clock. If they're always late, you are going to be pretty confident that they are going to be late to meet you at coffee, because you have no confidence in their ability to keep time. And making promises to yourself is exactly the same. So if we want to grow in confidence, making small promises, I think that we're going to do something very small for ourselves, and we're going to do it consistently until it becomes a norm. And following through with that despite how we feel. Because once we make that promise, we may be full of motivation in the beginning. We might find it very easy for the first couple of days, but at some point we are going to start making excuses about why we can't do that thing or why we shouldn't have to do the thing. Let's take the instance of, let's say you're carrying a few more pounds than you'd like to, and you don't really do any exercise, and you want to start walking. And you make a commitment to going out for a walk for 10 minutes every single day, 7 days a week. And you're making it this small simply because you have no excuse not to do the thing then. So you're going to go out for a walk 10 minutes a day, and you start for the first few days, you set yourself a time, you set yourself a habit, you brush your teeth, maybe you have some breakfast, and you go straight out for a walk. You go for a walk around the block and you come back in. Now, at some point, some event is going to crop up in your life, and you are going to want to make an excuse about why you shouldn't walk. And that is the key moment for growing in confidence, because you will probably find that you have a very valid excuse not to go for that walk. Maybe you've got an important meeting, or I don't know, your leg's aching, or I don't know, there could be any reason, but you'll always find that some kind of excuse crops up in your head, and that is the pivotal moment where you have the choice to either follow through with the promise you made for yourself and grow in confidence, or to ignore that promise. And the reason it's so important is because it seems like such a small thing. Like, if you've made a commitment to go for a walk every single day and you just miss one day, it's like it's not a big deal. Like, it's just one day, right? But fundamentally what's happened there is you've broken a promise to yourself, and when you break a promise to yourself, it's easy to continue doing it. Breaking promises is a very easy habit to get into. I feel like I went off on a bit of a ramble, as normal on these videos, and I just wanted to share the process as it was happening in real time. You know, I made a promise to myself, and I really, really, really wanted to break it this morning, but I decided, fuck it, I am going to do it anyway. And so I made this video, and as always, I hope it helped. Thanks for watching.